you wanted to start with the quarterback competition.
Yeah.
What stood out about my report about that quarterback
Yeah.
competition to you?
What I got from you was the two guys, Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, are competing allegedly to be the second banana. But we know on this team, the second banana can quick become the top banana if Brock Purdy isn't ready. Or
it's a fluid banana situation.
That's right. It's a banana
It's a situation.
It's a
banana split. It's a banana split. Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So what I got from your report was these guys are throwing a lot of check down passes.
Almost nothing but check down passes.
So in other words, we got a couple of check down Charlies.
Yes.
And I want to say I actually sort of have contempt for that because I think to actually good quarterbacks that I have watched play or knew. So I'm going to name two names, Steve Young, Brett Favre.
Okay.
If they were in a quarterback competition at OTAs somewhere, you think Steve or Brett would be checking down? No. They would be bombs away because they would want to show the coaching staff, I can really do it, and I am assaulting this job. I am asserting myself to take this job.
This quarterback competition is a waste of time. I'm so much better than this guy.
That's right. A waste of time. And these guys are wasting time.
It's like they're being like, hey, you mess up. No, you mess up. No, you mess up. Like, neither you guys want to take the job?
Yeah. And Steve, who I know very well, would have taken the job. I'm going to make an analogy to boxing because it always helps me to think of it in these terms. Muhammad Ali was a great fighter, maybe the greatest heavyweight who ever lived. When he went in the ring, he didn't mess around. He wanted to show his character to the world, his character as a fighter and as a competitor. And Steve Young wanted to show his character to the world. At OTAs, he would want to show his character to the team and to the coaching staff. He wouldn't be checking down. He'd be throwing passes where on the sideline, the reporters would be going, wow. Yep. Wow. Hey, Iggy, did you see that?
Yep. So it's discouraging to see that these guys both have an opportunity to impress people, and they're basically passing up on the opportunity. Like, I don't want to make a mistake in front of the media today. I'm just going to check it down and survive. And both of those quarterbacks have that mentality, and it's a real shame. So at the same time, it's like, the Niners don't have Steve Young on their team or Brett Favre. But it's like, and it's too bad that those guys can't step up. But at the same time, like, I think it's kind of foolish for us to assume, or them to assume, you just bring in two young quarterbacks with confidence issues, put them in a competition, and assume that one guy is going to emerge as a confident, excellent quarterback. Maybe the competition yields nothing.
In other words, it was doomed before it started because they're both such neophytes.
Yeah, I mean, a competition doesn't necessarily result in a Steve Young just because you had a competition.
Right. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If Brock Purdy were healthy, and if it were still a competition, we know if he's healthy, he's the number one guy. Let's pretend it were a competition. Would he assert his character before the world?
I don't know. He's coming off the first serious injury of his life. What's his confidence going to be like now?
Yeah.
These other guys have confidence issues. Trey's been injured a bunch of times. Sam Darnold's been kicked out of 2 organizations. Brock Purdy had remarkable confidence and poise for a rookie. Well, what's he got now after this injury? That's the next test for him. So we'll see. If he's supposed to be back in training camp, and let's see what he looks like against the first team defense. I've never seen him in that setting.
Fair enough. My guess is, and again, I don't know any of these guys, my guess is Brock Purdy innately has more confidence than the other two, has more self-belief. Now, we have to see what happens. Let's pretend he's going to be okay after the injury.
Yeah.
My guess is if you put him in a quarterback competition against those two, he'd kick ass.
My guess is he would. We'll have to see it. We'll have to see it. Now, I mean, because this is like Brock Purdy 2.0.
Absolutely.
With the bionic arm.
I got a bionic eye. That's why I'm not wearing my glasses anymore.
It's a good eye.
It's a good eye. I got to get the other eye, but now I got the good eye, yeah.
Anyway, the other thing I wanted to point out was the offensive line coach talked this week about how he prepares young offensive linemen to start. And he says it's important to tell them, look, there's no one lurking over your shoulder. The job is yours. We believe in you. Like, it's a tough position to play offensive line. Young guys shouldn't be good at it. The ones who are incredibly confident. You got to build up their confidence. And it doesn't seem like this quarterback competition is going to do that for either one. You got two quarterbacks with confidence issues for different reasons. And both guys are playing very timidly on the field in front of the media. And it seems like you're almost creating an environment where both guys are afraid to make mistakes, as opposed to guys who are going to go out and impress people and live with the mistakes in practice. So I don't know.
Because as opposed to what's happening on the offensive line, each of these quarterbacks has to look over his shoulder.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yep.
They're not saying to anybody, we're giving you the job.
No.
Now, athletes should want to compete for a job.
Of course.
But clearly, these guys are timid and are competing. What you're saying is not to win, but to make no mistakes.
Absolutely. And, I remember with Jim Harbaugh, his project was Colin Kaepernick. And that was a big project. He came from a zone read system, sat him for a year. But when it was finally time for Kaepernick to make an impression, when Alex Smith got hurt, Kaepernick was ready and Harbaugh was ready. It wasn't like, hey, buddy, we're going to call a bunch of runs, go out there and don't screw up. Okay, that's your mentality. It was, this is your audition. So we're going to go and we're going to call a bunch of downfield throws in the first quarter. The Bears aren't going to be expecting it. No one's going to be expecting it. If you hit these throws, it's your job. He hit him. You remember that game, right? I mean, it was like, oh, okay, the offense doesn't move this well with Alex Smith. Goodbye, dude. And that was it. And I don't know. I mean, Trey hasn't been able to do that. I think Kaepernick was about 24 when he did it. But at the same time, he had a coach who believed in him and put him in a position to succeed.
Yeah. I think I was at that game. Wouldn't I have been at that game?
We both were at that game. It was a night game, and it was incredible. And remember, after the game, people were still trying to figure out why Kaepernick started, because Harbaugh said all week that Smith was going to start, and then he pulled the rug out from underneath everyone like a couple days before. And so someone asked, well, when did you decide that Colin Kaepernick was going to start? First question. And then Harbaugh answered it, and I asked second question, are you going to stick with Colin Kaepernick as your starting quarterback from here on out? And he lighted up, and he said, well, I do like to go with the hot hand. So he was waiting for that moment, and that was it. That's all he needed.
Yeah, and I wish that Colin Kaepernick had been that good for the rest of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. But you could say, look, watching Sam Darnold and Trey Lance the other day, Colin Kaepernick would have destroyed them. Like 25-year-old Colin Kaepernick, he would have been confident. He would have been throwing the ball down the field. Like young quarterbacks with confidence are kind of rare, and you can shatter it. And these two guys have had their confidence shattered. I mean, Trey Lance is in therapy. He said it. So, in therapy, that's tough. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but that's what this whole situation has created. So
I'm in therapy.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah, it's true. I actually would like to go to therapy. I'm going to. I was talking about it with my wife last night. I'm going to do it. Maybe Trey Lance could give me.
I don't put down anybody who's in therapy.
I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying he's got a lot to deal with right now. No Flav says Jack on Larry's show disagreed with your take that cover one will stop Brock. Also, maybe Trey wanted to show he can check down like Brock too. I think there's a lot to that. A lot of people say that Trey he can't hit the easy ones. Well, he's been hitting the easy ones all at camp, and all of a sudden people are upset with that. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Brock Purdy. It seems like that's how people want to defend him, and there's a reason for it. Rod Simmons says, at Lowell, when Jed fired Harbaugh, he said he'd improve the culture. How do you grade his change? Do you think we've already seen the best of John Lynch?
I think the 49ers culture is terrific. I think
fewer arrests.
I think John Lynch is doing a beautiful job. I think he grounds Kyle Shanahan. I do.
Yeah.
I think Kyle is more emotional, more mercurial. I think Lynch is doing a great job. My only criticism is they don't have the most important position solidified. That's my criticism of them, but the culture is great. The team is terrific. And the head coach with limitations is a very good, not great head coach.
Yeah, and the thing about the quarterback spot is I feel like they bought some time with Trey Lance. They told people like, look, he's the future, but give us some time because we're going to develop him. Now they're pivoting to Brock's our guy. And I think it's fair to be a little skeptical of like, look, Brock's good, but that's your guy? He's going to be an elite quarterback for you? That's the plan? Year 7 is just wow. Well, I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah. With Kyle, I don't think he really has a good intellectual understanding of the quarterback position, and he's always grasping at the latest flavor.
Reactive. Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree. Yep. Nadro 49 says, love the show. Thank you. What day are you at OTAs next week? Not sure yet. They haven't set out the schedule. As soon as I find out, I'll let you know. Joseph says, I just want to see Trey with a fully healthy team. Well, I think we will. I think we will.
I want to see a fully healthy Trey with a fully healthy team.